Welcome to the Mommy on a Mission podcast. I'm Mariana, your host and the #1 best-selling author of Mommy on a Mission, a guide towards healing, self-discovery, and walking in confidence. As a dedicated life coach, wife, mom, yaya, and most importantly, daughter of the king, I am passionate about empowering multifaceted women just like you. In each episode, we dive deep into transformative topics that help you reignite your passion and purpose. My unique approach is designed to help you overcome the fear of external expectations and create the space and time you need for both increased job satisfaction and personal growth. Join me on this journey of self-discovery and empowerment as we explore practical strategies, inspiring stories, and actionable insights. Together, we'll navigate the complexities of life and emerge stronger, more confident, and truly aligned with our deepest desires. Welcome to the Mommy on a Mission podcast, your go-to resource for living a more purposeful and fulfilling life. So grab your taza of café y vamos a platicar. Hello, girlfriends, and thank you so much for coming on to the Mommy on a Mission podcast. As you know, we are continuing and ending the series of She's Bold Women's Conference, and today I have a wonderful guest who is going to come and talk to you a little bit about her journey and where God has taken her and where she's going today. So I want you to go ahead, get a notebook, whatever it is that you want to take some notes, and grab your cup of cafecito, and let's have this talk with my special guest, Roxanne Lara. Roxanne, thank you so much for being here.
Hi.
Can you start a little bit about telling us a little bit about yourself, your life growing up, and how things began to shift in your life? Just, and something you want to share with us.
All right, awesome. Yes. Well, my name is Roxanne Lara. I am originally from the Valley, McAllen, Far area, but I ended up back here in Houston 2018 after one of my incarcerations. So I'm married, and now I'm married. Right now I have a nephew that's like my son. Like I said, I was born and partly raised in the Valley, but my upbringing, we were 5 women and 1 boy. And my dad was from Mexico and my mom was from Eagle Pass, Texas. So I'm a Mexican American.
So our stories are, our stories are the same, but a little different because in my family, it was 4 girls and 1 boy.
And 1 boy. Wow.
And 1 boy. And my mom's the one that's from Mexico. And my dad was from Brownsville, Texas. So our stories
are... I'm from the Valley. Wow.
A little flip-flop. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't...
Yeah, no, it's okay. That's awesome. But yeah, and we were migrant workers. And then at some point, my dad was also started trafficking drugs. So it was something that's where I grew up as a little girl and seeing this, and we were always traveling. Like, I do remember working out in the fields. We traveled to Colorado, Idaho. Actually, I have family over there. My mom came from a kind of like I'm not even sure, but it sounded as what I've heard stories. It was like a wealthy family because her dad was like a ranchero.
Mm-hmm.
He was in charge of the fields, but he was working for other bigger people or the owners. Mm-hmm. So my dad and my mom met in Idaho. So we were always traveling, but then I also remember that in my house, there was always big old blocks of weed. And to me, they looked like big old suitcases. And it was something normal for me at times because my mom would tell my dad, we're going to do it this way. There was a lot of drugs all the time. But I didn't know I was a child, and I knew my dad would smoke, or like I said, we were migrants. So I remember moving a lot from the Valley, Idaho. I remember my dad putting us in the room. And at that time, I didn't know what it was because he would throw us all in a room. So that was a lot of the stuff that I would see, like drugs, like what's going on? I would just question it. And as I grew older, my sister's like, yeah, Dad used to shoot up. So that was also another thing, that was my family's dysfunction, besides being dysfunctional, because I would see my parents fight and all that, arguing. But it was my dad shooting up. And I remember when we lived in Idaho, my sister was also smoking marijuana, and I would go tell on her. So all this, I'm growing up seeing all these things. As I get a little bit older, I was maybe like 13, 14, because at this time I'm already driving as well. My parents would migrate and leave us alone with my oldest sister. So the first time I got drunk, I believe, in second or third grade. My sisters ended up, yes, ended up giving me and my little sister wine coolers. At that time, those things were very popular. And my parents had left. Like, they would leave us for weeks because my mom would work. She did work. She had a job as a dietitian. She did have her education, but my dad was always gone. So she would take off with, like, to go meet up with him or see him, because he wouldn't come for months. So at that time, I remember that they were gone. My sisters were drinking with friends. They were at a lake, but for us to stay quiet and for us not to tell our parents, they gave us wine coolers. And we were little. I was second, third grade, and my little sister was younger because she was the youngest. And so that was the first time I got drunk. So there was a lot of things that we were always doing. We were free.
Mm.
And so,
how old was your sister? How old was your sister?
The oldest, my little sister.
Or the one that would watch you while your mom and dad were gone?
Oh, yeah, it was the oldest. My sister right now she's
how old was
from
she
70.
then? How old was she
Oh,
then?
she must have been, yeah, in her 20s probably.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they were young. Everybody in her maybe late 20s, because like I said, there's four before me, because I'm the fifth one, and then the little one's the sixth one. But yeah, they were all young. Yeah.
Wow.
And so that was like, I would call her mommy, because my oldest sister, because my mom was always gone, my dad was always gone, or my mom was at work. She was the one putting us in school or in the bus and all that. So my parents were always gone, like back and forth traveling, or they were not traveling with us, they were traveling on their own. So as I grew older, like I said, I was like 13 years old. I was already able to drive. We started helping. It started by helping, from the border. The Valley is a border town. So my mom started helping the family bring people, like, oh, the prima needs a ride from Reynosa this way, but she doesn't have papers. So my mom started doing it. Yeah, started doing it for free, helping, but then it became a business. It was, oh, the prima's friend needs help, or so she started charging money.
So like the coyote?
Yes.
Yes.
Is smuggling, illegals. Yeah. And at that time, it was sitting down. It was before the Twin Towers. It was before that.
Oh, wow.
So it was something that it continued to grow, to grow, to grow. We would even cross the borders, like the Mexican border, from this way with people sitting down. At times it was 4 people, or like a couple and a son and a daughter, or stuff like that. And so it just started becoming a business. And then I ended up in one of those, in between my mom and us traveling back and forth and taking people. And we lived in Minnesota for a while. And that's where that time my mom and my dad had left to Minnesota, and I had found a boyfriend. At this age, I'm already like 15. And they left us by ourselves in the valley, and they took off. Well, my dad always had a bag of marijuana in the freezer. He would always put it there, supposedly so it could be cool or fresh or whatever. And I ended up taking the marijuana from the refrigerator. So my little sister told on me, called my mom and told her. And so my mom calls me and tells me, you better put it back. And if you don't put it back, you better get the heck out of my house. And so that was my way out. I was 15 years old, and I was dating a man that was 7 years older than me. Yeah, because I was 15 and he was 20. No, 5 or 6. I was 15 and he was 21.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so that was my way out. So I told him, like my mom said, if we don't put the marijuana back, that for me to leave. So I ended up leaving with that man. And later on, I ended up doing a lot of things. I was always, and that was my way out. I wanted to get out of my house, have freedom, nobody to tell me what to do.
Yeah.
I started doing more drugs with him, drinking, popping pills. That's where I got to know the Rehypnol. They call them the daybreak pills.
Oh, wow.
And I became addicted to those. Yeah. People use them to, like men, to rape women. You put it in the drink and then they don't know what happened the next day.
Oh, wow.
But those pills would make me more aggressive, violent, or I wouldn't even think or know. Like I felt like a superwoman. I'm gonna put it at that. I just didn't care. And I became addicted to those pills. Yeah. And I also introduced him to the smuggling people. And at times he wouldn't want to do it. But I would tell him, well, you like it or not? And I started learning bad habits from my mom because that's the same pattern or things. I was picking up those patterns from my mom.
Oh, wow.
And now it's like I've identified a lot. It's like a Jezebel spirit because it was very I was controlling, manipulative. And if you wouldn't do it, then I was leaving him. I would do whatever I wanted. Wow. And at that time with that man, and I think I don't know why this came to my mind right now to share this because I was with that man. I was 15 years old and I was with him for 8 years. I believe it was till my dad passed away in 2019. Yeah, I was 20 something already. But with that man at that time, I was 15 years old and I did everything a man does to a woman. So you could imagine that. I was cheating on him, not coming home. It was very, very ugly. I was the one making money, so I would literally step all over him or tell him things. I would belittle him. Like I had that kind of mentality afterwards, like belittling men. Because at that age, I think it was at 18, I ended up having my own house, like a brand new construction home. My mom helped me get the loan for it. It was a 4-bedroom home, brand new. And it was just me, him, and a dog that I had. And I started having that mentality of having and going out and carrying money in my purse, $2,000, $3,000 a day. And it was something that the greed started coming up. Yeah, through the smuggling people.
Yeah.
Yes. And even my mom got addicted to that. She stopped working, and that was something that we would come back to Houston in the Valley like maybe 2 times a day. Or sometimes we would meet halfway and come bring and take people. It was so bad that my mom, like I said, she got addicted to the money when she would fight with me. And my other sisters started getting involved and helping. And she would want to pay us less. And it was just becoming a greed thing and didn't want to pay us. And it was bad. We would stop talking to her. She would cuss at us. And like, I'll never forget one time because I told her, Mom, like, you're not paying me what we had agreed on. You know what? Get off. And she got me and the guy I was with off at a store. And she took off and she left us there.
And how long did this go on?
And it was for a long time. I'm going to say 2000. It started before the Twin Towers. So it was way before then, 99.
So in the 90s?
2000.
Late 90s?
Mm-hmm. And then all the way to 2006 or 7, because the last time they caught us, it was just because we would always coach people and tell them, well, if they stop us, you got to say this, you got to say that. Well, at that time, it was an underage boy, and he lied about his age being over 18. So I remember my mom got so sick. She was diabetic. And that day, he had said he was 18, but he was a minor. So they were already escorting us to Corpus. And when when we're driving to Corpus and we get to Corpus, the Border Patrol man opens the door and I tell him, hey, do you not know what you're doing? This boy is underage. So they had to take us back. They couldn't process us or take us in custody because he was an underage boy. So it was like we got away with it. They ended up letting us go. So that was when I was like, you know what? I got to do something different with my life. So I started going to school, vocational school for a dental assistant. I got my certification, everything. I was trying. I've always had that. Like I wanted to prosper. I wanted to do something better. And even without a GED, I was able to get my registered dental assistant license. I ended up working a few months, but it was just I would get sucked back into the drugs. At that time, the guy that I was with, that I said I did everything to him what a man does to a woman, I would take off when he would go to work. I would take off with his wallet because we lived in Dallas. He ended up getting a job like the oil rigs, and he would go to work, and I would take off with his wallet, card, bank card, and the truck, and I would go back to the valley to go cross people. And it was back in,
Yeah, it's like the scripture says, the love of money is the root of all evil. You know, when you're loving the money and you're idolizing the money, it becomes overwhelmingly powerful because you start to feel powerful, right? And it's like you can't even think anymore because it's like that it's and a lot of people don't see that it can be a form of addiction, having always needing to have money or wanting to have money because you're spending. And a lot of times that stems from, again, what you witnessed and how you grew up. But it's also in a way that sense of scarcity because you're needing something or you're missing something in your life, right? And so you have that tendency to go in that direction. So, wow. And so this continued on until, so you mentioned that when did you get your first arrest? Was it because of that?
Yeah, well, I had that, yes. And the arrest started getting worse after my dad passed away. So my dad was also, like I said, a drug dealer. My dad was locked up in the 90s, taking up for other people. I remember that was the reason why he ended up doing federal prison. We were little. I was little. It was in 1992. I'll never forget that. And later on in 2008, my dad gets locked up again. He would go to Minnesota, but he would also smuggle drugs through the checkpoint. He would always smuggle either 1 or 2 pounds, wrap them up, and put it in his body. And that time he got pulled over. He passed the checkpoint, all that, but he got pulled over in Oklahoma. So after him fighting the case, all that, he got bonded out, but he fought the case. He thought it was going to be like federal prison was different because they let you go out. They have visitations where your family can go pick you up. It was very different. And my dad was like at a camp. When he did time in Oklahoma, it was something different. He was inside a cell and inside the building, locked up all the time. He did a year. When he got out after that, my dad lost his residence card. Yeah, I believe it was resident or citizenship. So he couldn't go back to Mexico or even cross the checkpoint to come up north this way from the valley. Because in the valley, you got to cross the checkpoint after you leave a certain part of the valley. So my dad ended up, it was like, I guess God was fixing things. And to this, I say this, even when I share my testimony, is because now that God gives you revelation and your life has changed as how it's happened to me, I see it as the Lord removed my mom and my dad from our paths because we were being led to destruction. Like my mom, after my dad passing away, that's where the drinking started. That's why I started getting arrested. I had a DWI each year after my dad passed away. I became an alcoholic. I became a crackhead. I tried going to medical school after my dad passed away, but I couldn't even function to go to school, study, learn, concentrate, draw blood, nothing. Because I was doing cocaine. The instructor was drinking with me after
Oh, wow.
school, all that. Yeah. And that's the thing about the Valley, that when you are in those type of lifestyles, it's everywhere. And it was something that was all I knew.
Right.
The drugs, and it's like bad people attract bad people. And it was just bad. It was bad after I lost my dad. That's when I tried committing suicide. That was 2009, 2010 when I lost my dad. And like I said, that was where it just started. It's like I give up on everybody and everything, and even myself.
Yeah.
I just started drinking.
So what did the season of your life feel like from the inside? Like, how did you feel during that season of your life?
I didn't feel, I don't believe I was even able to feel or think, like I said, because I gave up on everybody. I didn't have no feelings. It was like I was on destruction and a mindset of just whatever happens, whatever, I don't care. Because I wouldn't even think about things that I was doing, to the point that as we were trafficking people, because that's what it was, smuggling people back and forth, I ended up coming across other people that were connected to cartel. So I think it was before my dad passed away. I even ended up going to Chicago and picking up a red Suburban. And then I took it all the way down to Michoacan, all the way to Mexico, where it was something like my dad tried to convince me, what are you doing? And that guy I was with is like, you're going to come with me. You're going to help me drive. And I was always telling him what to do. And we were trying to smuggle back that vehicle from Mexico this way. And this is the cartel from Michoacan, from over there. And this is something that I don't think I've shared ever I've shared about the other cartel when they kidnapped me, but I've never shared where I've gone down to the Mexico, to the things where there's all that killing, all that stuff also
Oh, wait
down
a
in
minute.
Michoacan where
Hold
the
on.
drugs
You were
come from.
kidnapped as well?
Yes, I'm going there after this.
Oh,
Yes,
wow.
I was
Okay.
kidnapped by the Mexican cartel. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, I was involved in all this. Like I said, this is where my mind was. It was about money, the adrenaline, the I don't know, and even sleeping around and having sex, because it was all nothing but bad things, drinking, drugs. So all these things that I was doing, I was never in my right mind. I was either on those pills, and I'm telling you, those pills, those daybreak pills, I would take them, but to me, it was something that it would get me pumped up, and I felt no fear. I had no fear. So yeah, after that, when my dad passed away, that's when I ended up getting also connected with another man that I met. I remember I was working at a strip club. So I ended up meeting this man, and he started asking me for a favor to use. My mom had a van all the time, and I started using my mom's van to go pick up marijuana. And when I would pick up about maybe 1,000 pounds from the border, from the river, and bring it out to the houses, to the neighborhoods. It was that, like, I would go all the way to the edge of the border, the river, and pull out all those, and it was something constant. But the person that was working in Mexico, the leader or whoever was the comandante, that's what they called him.
Yeah.
He ended up knowing that he found out it was a woman doing that man's job. So he asked for me to go over there to meet him.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. And to the point, look at how crazy I was. It was my dad's first year of being passed away, or that he had passed away. My mom was doing a church service. And instead of thinking about that, I ended up taking off to Mexico, walking. My friend dropped me off, and I had a warrant. So I ended up coming back from over there. I crossed the river. Like, they crossed me through the river back this way.
To the United
It was
States?
something that, yes, I crossed like as if I was an illegal person.
And was that because you had the
So
warrant?
yeah,
Oh,
but
wow. Okay.
yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God.
And it was something that when I was over there, the things that I witnessed, the things that I did, like I said, it was, it was something that you watch in a movie,
Yeah.
like literally.
Like on the
Yeah.
true crime stories.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And it just kept getting worse because after
Oh.
that, yeah, my was still alive, and me and her started fighting, arguing. But it was this last trip. I took her to Colorado. It was something that I believe it was her last trip because after that she passed away. We were coming back. We found some people, illegal people walking, asking for help. So we end up picking them up and taking them back to the valley because they were lost through, it was Furias and Edinburgh. That's in between where all that
Right, right,
stuff
right.
happens, the
Yeah.
the trafficking. And we end up finding and picking them up. But in my mind, and I was on pills, I was robbing people one way or another. I was always out to get somebody. And what I did to them people is I called the family, or I even told my mom that I was going to have somebody take them, but I ended up taking the money and I left them at a hotel. So me and my mom get mad and we stop talking. I take off with the guy I was with, and I stopped talking to my mom for a while. And before I left to Michigan, I ended up like going to see my niece and my nephew. My nephew is the nephew I have now because my sister was locked up in prison, and I was helping my mom with them too, with the daughter and the son. And I ended up going back, and that was the last time I saw my mom. I ended up mending things with her, but it was like I went back to say bye to her.
Oh
And that was
wow.
before me leaving to Michigan. And this is where it gets worse because I leave to Michigan and I am only calling my mom here and there. But the last time they called me and they're like, Roxanne, you got to come back because mom's not responding. She ended up giving up on her diabetes, her health, after my dad passed away.
Oh wow.
After my dad passed away, it was like she gave up on her health. She stopped taking care of herself. And so I come back and I end up finding my mom on life support.
Oh wow.
And that was me going and just telling her, Mom, I'm here. And before I had left, I told her, if anything happens to you or my brother, because I have a brother that he has like autism, down, it's not Down syndrome, because he's just like an autistic, but he's already an adult.
Yeah.
But I would always help my mom with my brother. So I end up telling her, if anything happens to you or Joe, I'm gonna come back. And when I came back and I saw her and she was on life support, I tell her, Mom, I'm back. I told you I was gonna be back. And her tears just started coming out. That was it. After that, we ended up unplugging her, and that was, we
Oh
let her
wow.
go.
That was a tough decision, I
And
bet.
well, it was my sister that did that. Yeah, we had already decided that because her liver, everything, she was supposed
Sure.
to be taking dialysis, and she just gave up.
Yeah. Oh
But
wow.
it was something that at that time, it's been hard dealing with my mom's past traumas that we went through with my sisters and what she did. That's why I say the Lord removed her and my dad from our path, because what my mom would do between us sisters, putting us against each other, or when my dad passed away, she would put us against my dad and talk bad about my dad. And more as her disease started progressing and her mind wasn't there anymore because her kidneys, her liver was shutting down. So they explained to us the blood wasn't pumping anymore. So that's why her mind, her brain wasn't normal anymore. But it was a lot of trauma because she would tell me, also when I would take off, she knew I would go do things. She knew I was dealing drugs. She knew I was working at a strip club. She knew all these things. And she would tell me, if you're going to go, you better be charging or at least get something out of it. Or like she would enable me to do things,
Oh
even
wow.
from even from the smuggling people, the charging for money for sex, all these things. She knew what we were doing, like what I was doing. And she would tell me like it was okay. even to the point from shoplifting. She would go shoplifting with us. This was when we lived in Minnesota. Yeah.
Wow.
Or
And was there a moment like maybe like in prison or even in moments of isolation that you realized I can't be doing this anymore? Like my life needs to change. I need to do something with my life because I can't
yeah.
be living like this anymore.
Yeah, it ended up happening once I started, because every time I would get locked up, I knew that God was trying to do something. Well, okay, I'm going to continue a little bit. So I'm going to get to that. So in 2014, 13, that's when my mom passed away. November 2013. 2014, since my mom passed away, when I left that hospital, I just continued. I started smoking crack that night. So I was up for a long time, and I was with that man. And I ended up pistol whipping him and hitting him with a crowbar in between November and January, because I ended up getting locked up because I pistol whipped him. Man that I was with, yeah, that man that me and my sister were with, if he wouldn't have gotten those bullets out, I would have killed him. I would have shot him because we were up for days. We were on crack. And so I end up getting arrested 2014, and it was the time that I hit him with the crowbar. I opened his head. I was very aggressive. Those pills would make me aggressive. So, and then the crack. So that time they take me in and they say, oh, we're taking you in. The judge will let you out tomorrow. But he went and pressed charges. So I ended up getting 2 aggravated assaults with a deadly weapon. So when I see the judge and everything, and they're like, well, you're going to have to sit here till you see somebody or you go to court. So I was there about 3-4 months. In those 3 or 4 months, I started thinking, like, because somebody told me, you're facing some big time, Gallardo. Like, these charges are not just any charge. Like, with that gun, and then you opened his head, like, you going in for a time. And so at first I was reading cards, and I think I've shared this on my other testimonies. Those playing cards, the Jack, Queen, King, all those, you play spades and all that. I started reading those cards, and it just, something ended up changing. I'm like, you know what? I got something serious in front of me. Like, I have this consequence if I don't do something. Like, I got to change. Like, I got to try to do things right. So I end up asking him to get sent to the law library, and the law library that let you look at the laws and all this. And I didn't have a clue of what I was doing or what, but I end up going there, and I get a little bit of privilege because I'm there. It's the law library, but that's also where they get the books for the inmates. So I started getting Bibles, inspirational books, devotionals, and stuff like that. So I start reading stuff, and I'm like, I end up finding that it was a Kenneth Copeland Bible. And in the very back, it had a prayer, how to receive the Holy Spirit, and it had a salvation prayer. But I didn't know who Jesus was. I didn't know who was God. I just knew it was God because I was raised Catholic. And all I knew was that Dios, Dios y Dios and la Virgen, but I wasn't
a devout Catholic.
Devoted to the Virgin. Yeah. I said devota, but I didn't know what the proper word in English. But yeah, when I started reading the Bible for myself, that's when I knew about not having, that we weren't supposed to have idols or pray to other things.
Right.
And all this started happening by myself. Like, nobody told me nothing like, oh, you have to follow Jesus or you got to find God. It was just something in me. Like, I don't know. I think to be honest, it was already where God had something prepared for me, because when I was a little girl, and I don't think I mentioned this, at the corner of the street where I would catch the bus, there was a friend I had there, and her tia was Christian, and I didn't know what I was doing, but she asked me, do you want to accept Jesus? And I remember this after now. And I remember getting on my knees with that lady and praying the Lord's Prayer. And in my house, my grandma was very Catholic. My grandma would tell her like about the Virgin, the Bible, and all that. We had a Bible at home. And I remember that after that, in my mom's room, she would always have a Bible open. And I remember reading Genesis and all that. And I was a little girl. I was little. But
That
I
was
remember
all
that, and I
what they call foreshadowing. Like Jesus was depositing little seeds in your life, right? Because he was letting you know,
yes,
I'm here. I'm here. And you don't know,
yes,
when you're a child, you don't know these things, but it's like God was saying, I'm here in this phase of your life. You were a child. And then as you get older, it's like he shows up again to let you know, I'm here. I'm
yeah.
here. And then it's like, now you're in prison. Were you in jail or prison?
Yeah, I was in county. I was in county
County.
first.
And then you go to the library and you're getting these books, and it's like, I'm meeting you right where you are. Like, I'm going to meet
Yep.
you here. This is where we're going to
Yep.
meet. And it's almost like God saying, I'm right here. I'm just waiting on you to
On
reach
you.
out to
Yep.
me. Right?
Yep.
Wow. And
So
so is that when your relationship started with God? Like, or was it something
that's where,
gradual?
yeah, well, it was where I believe I had my first encounter. I just didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't understand because I remember him, and I always say this, he gave me 4 years probation where I could have been in prison right that time.
Wow.
But I was only out 2 weeks. 2 weeks, and I ended up going back to the same thing again. And then the whole month that I was out, I got worse. From burning houses, burning cars. I burned every picture inside in my mom's house because I ended up staying there. The house that that our family had. I burned all my sister's quinceañera pictures. I just went on a rampage. I ended up having a car chase from one county to the other, from far all the way almost to Bronzeville. I was going to Bronzeville. I ended up getting in La Feria before Harlingen. That's why I had a car crash. I flipped. I was going 80 miles an hour. I ended up in ICU with a punctured liver. Yeah. So after that, that's when I go to county and I end up getting prison time because in that, I so many crimes. I picked up a aggravated robbery, those two aggravated assaults with a deadly weapon. We had robbed some people that were coming out of a dollar store, and I didn't get the charge, but I was still involved because I was the driver, but the guys took the blame, and then I already had that was the first time I did TDC time, and I ended up doing 2.5, almost 3 years out of 5 years. The TDC, they gave me 2 years for revoking the probation and then 3 years for that other charge.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so I get out from there, and that's where I tried doing things different. And I didn't want to go back to my neighborhood where I was raised, where I would always do things. But that's when my sister, that she passed away already. It's been a year and 2 or 3 months. In February, it was a year. And she had her son and her daughter that I was helping my mom take care and raise. And she ends up getting locked up, and her daughter and her son stay at the house, my parents' house, with nobody there. So I end up having to go there to go take them. This was in 2016, but I had gotten out of TDC, and TDC, it's hobby unit. I go back to hobby unit now, and that's where I'm going. I went this month in June, and now I'm going back in July. But
for
hobby
prison ministry?
Unit is yes.
For
now
prison
I do
ministry?
prison ministry. Yeah. But that prison is a maximum security prison. I saw girls get cut. I saw a lot of things that, I mean, it was crazy. Girls getting cut, lesbians, and I even started relationships with women God started humbling me there too, though, because it's also a lot of things that we go through there, because there was no water at times. We were on lockdowns with no water, pooping in peanut butter jar cans and in potato chip bags, throwing them out the window. The whole dorm was smelling ugly because people were peeing in the toilets with no running water. The food was very ugly. So that's where I'm like, you know what? When I got out and I started getting a job, trying to getting a job, well, I take my niece and my nephew and I go live there with them. But in my mind, I was so messed up because of the incarceration and I just couldn't get it together. I started drinking. I ended up calling CPS on myself to go get my nephew and my niece. Wow. And then later, a friend of mine starts taking me to work with her and I get a job there with her. So I end up trying to get on my feet. I did get an apartment. I got a car. And then my sister gets out and I end up getting connected with her again because I had tried getting away from her. So I end up robbing a man and I pulled out a knife on him and he reported us and they're looking for us everywhere. Wow. So I end up I take off to Mexico because I'm like, you know what? I'm not going back to TDC because I didn't want to go back to the same living conditions and this and that. Yeah. Why I end up going to Mexico, but I go and do the same thing, robbing people, or sending people to rob people. And I was the driver. Like I was always the mastermind, always telling people what to do. And so that one time, there was a one time that the guy that I told to go rob somebody, they end up seeing us. The cartel, the people from the cartel saw us. And they end up reporting us to the main people, and that's when I got kidnapped. We got kidnapped, and that was like, I believe it was like May 7th, and I ended up getting let go of May the 10th of Mexican's Mother's Day. And it was something that I experienced, and you see that in the movies. The cuerno de chivos, the guns, the guys with the vest and mask and all that stuff. It was just something that it was my choices that like my way of thinking that I wasn't like maybe not even thinking. It was just putting myself in a lot of situations that I could have really been killed. How did I make it? It was the grace of God over my life, because a lot of people would tell me, like, how did they let you go? A lot of people don't come back. They don't.
That was God's hand on you, for sure. That was truly God's hand on you, because he knew that there was something more for you, right? And a lot of times people ask, why am I going through all of this? Like, why do we go through thing after thing after thing? Like, what's going on, right? And then we have to remember that the enemy is here to kill, steal, and destroy, right? He's trying to kill us. He's trying to destroy us. He's trying to do whatever, because I see this as, all of the things that you were doing, he already knew that God already had something prepared for you. And that's when the enemy is really, really out there. Now, not giving the enemy the full credit or all credit, right? Because he's limited in his actions. Because we also have God gives us the freedom of choice, so at some point that was also, maybe the setup was the enemy, through your parents, setting that up. But later on, now it becomes a choice you make, because that what you're doing isn't what should be happening, right? So that's why I say we can't give the enemy the full credit.
The full credit, yeah.
Yeah, because we have to take responsibility and we have to own up to all of this. And so now you've been kidnapped. You're going through all of these things. So where is it where you're like, what is going on? Like, enough is enough. And what is out there for me?
And I'm like, no. And still, that was 2017. And I still went back. I got out. I got a parole violation for, I don't remember. It's like maybe 2 months, a month. I don't remember. I go back. Same thing back and forth. I got locked up anyways. I ended up getting locked up in state jail because I went into Walmart, got all these things. They saw me on the camera, and I get picked up from my house. So I get state time this time. I did TDC, now I'm doing state time. And when I get out from state time, they gave me like 6 months, and it's here in Dayton in Plain State. So when I get out, I end up staying here in Houston, and I got connected with somebody that I knew from Mexico, that I had a person that was in Mexico, a man, and I stayed with him, and I start living with him. And then I end up getting connected to my mom's side of family in Humble.
Oh, wow.
So I start working with them in the roofing, and the guy that I was with. And somehow I left the guy that I was with, but I continued to work with my cousins, and I had already gotten off paper, like probation and all that stuff. I was clear with everything. I end up wanting more money for my birthday, and I end up going back to the valley, and I get locked up again on my way back, trying to smuggle one illegal person. And so I had already accumulated so many criminal points, federal. Now I'm facing federal charges. Wow. And when I go to court, they go based on your criminal history, like your criminal points, they call it. So for having one person, they end up giving me 30 months. A lot of people get only 18 months or 10, 12 months. I end up getting 30 months. That was 2019 on my birthday, a little bit before my birthday. And I get out and I get halfway house January 27th of 2020. Well, I end up getting sent here to the FTC downtown Houston. And I mean, to the halfway house, where I end up drinking. I had already started going to it was the Seventh-day Adventist Church in federal prison. So seeking the Lord, and I still have my Bible to this day. I have that Bible that has stayed with me, and I really was looking for something bigger. That's where I really wanted, like, I don't have nobody. I ain't got a mom. I ain't got a dad. I got to do something. Like, I can't continue this. But I ended up getting sucked back in the halfway house. And it was when COVID was about to start. And and I end up getting locked up like around April, and then I get out November 2020. And a week after I got out, I ended up going back to the valley to visit my sisters, and something happened where my sister tells me, like, something my other sister told her that I had done, and I'm like, Corina, Janie has a lying problem. Like, don't you think she had said, and I'm going to speak about this because it's something that she was accusing me of sleeping with her husband. And I'm like, but back when my mom was alive, I'm like, Corina, if that would have happened, something big would have happened in the family. Like, this would have been known. You would have known too. So I was very hurt. And that time I drank wine, and I would always say, okay, well, I'm not drinking beer now. I'm just going to drink wine. And I was smoking cigarettes, and I'm like, that was it. But something that bothered me so much that day, and I was like, Corina, like, that's not true. And I started feeling all this type of way, and I ended up leaving her house, and I started walking. Some man picked me up, and he tried having sex with me, and I leave his house, and I end up at the convenience store, and I end up calling my cousin who had taken me over there. They were going to visit his girlfriend's family, and I end up staying at the convenience store till they picked me up the next day. And my sister called me, and I'm like, Corina, just leave me alone. Like, this is it. And then my nieces and all, they started doing a group chat. They're texting each other. They're cussing at each other and all these things. And my sister at that time, she would send me like videos about prayers and stuff like that. But she's Catholic, but she would share all these videos with me. And so I'll never forget, it was a Spanish video, and it was like how to have an encounter or how to talk to God. And when I got back to Humble, I remember putting that video on, and I was all hungover the next day. but I put the video and I'm listening to the video and it's saying like giving you instructions, put your headphones on, close your eyes, you're walking up the stairs and you find yourself as a little girl and tell yourself you're sorry, hug that little girl and then from there it takes me to another stairs. I'm going up to heaven to talk to God.
Oh, wow.
And then when I'm doing this, I'm laying down in my bed and all I can feel was a yellow light over me.
Oh,
And
wow.
it was a warm light and I'm just tearing up, tearing, I'm crying. And when I finished that video, I got up and I got on my knees. I got up from the bed, got on my knees, and I prayed my heart out. And I
Wow.
told God, this is it. Like I've done it my way. I don't have a mom. I don't have a dad. My family's a dysfunction. I'm tired of this life. This is it. It was like I was telling him, Jesus, take the wheel.
Yeah.
Like that was it.
Wow.
And that day I became a new woman. Like when I finished praying, I got up from my knees and it was like a big burden had left. Like a week that week that I had been out, and even my cousin was telling me like you got to calm down, like you're going to get a job, but I was always like I need to get a job, I need money, I don't have this, I don't have that. But after I got up from my knees that day, it was like I wasn't even worried. And it was like something took the veil off my eyes, and I started realizing I was sitting in my blessing and I didn't even understand I had a blessing and I was in that blessing. My
Wow.
cousin at that time, he was doing prison ministry. He had Bible studies. He was going to church. Across the street there was the women's home. I ended up getting into that women's home. My cousin, when I told him, he's like, "Are you sure, Prima? You gonna do that?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna start looking for the Lord." And he's like, "Oh, okay, all right." And then I ended up bringing my sister that passed away, but she tried. And then the Lord had me remove myself from there because I was trying to be God. And it was where I started learning how to listen to the Lord. And it was just something
Right.
that I just continued, and I've been here since then. It-
What role has faith played in your healing and in rebuilding your life from the ground up? Because now but basically that's what you're doing, because you've had this
Mhm.
whole other life and now you're rebuilding back because your foot is being set now on a strong foundation. Like you have to lay out that foundation, right, and make it strong in order for you to continue up. And I always see, I say that because I think of construction workers where they have to carve out the dirt, they roll it out, make it plain, whatever, and then they put down the foundation before they even start building the house. And then if the foundation isn't strong, like if you see a lot of these homes and the foundation is kind of
Yeah.
rocky because the dirt moves and stuff with weather, and then you see all these big cracks in the houses, and that's because your house isn't firm. So in saying all that, what role has faith played in your healing, and how's that
Okay.
rebuilding looking like?
Can I share something? And the podcast is going to be the first place I share this. And I'm going to
Okay.
share this because, yes, this is
Wow.
awesome. I don't know. I think I need to share this. And I haven't shared this, but I don't know. It maybe because at the times before, my marriage wasn't what it is now.
Mm-hmm.
So I get out in November. I meet my husband in January. We get married in June.
Wow.
And come to find out, I married a man that I met in church. My husband was still struggling with something that I didn't, and it was too soon. It was
Mm.
too fast, where I wasn't even healed myself.
Right.
And I'm already looking for a relationship or jumping into a relationship. And then it just led to marriage fast.
Mm-hmm.
So a week after we said yes, after we married everything, the Lord reveals to me he's still watching pornography.
Mm.
And so it was something that I had to really, really face it. And it was I believe it was the encounter I had with the Lord that didn't allow me to go back to the old Roxanne, because there was times that I really wanted to, but it was God leading me to people, putting people in my path, teaching me things that I didn't even. I feel like I was baby Christian for a small time, and I grew up really fast as a Christian, because I started learning about warfare. I started fighting for my marriage because I started learning about generational curses and when you divorce, all these things. And I'm like, I'm not giving the devil my marriage. And Lord, whatever it is, I'm here. I've always been a fighter. I'm facing the things that I gotta face. I'm not running from this.
Right.
So God has used that to even change me, and my faith grew more. The love for God that I received, that I got from Him, and the love that I have for Him, there was no way that I was gonna turn away or even to let go of God. Yeah. Because there was times that me going through things when my husband was doing things that he wasn't supposed to. In my mind, the devil would get drunk and beat him up. But I fought all those things, and I would surrender it to God, and I would continue to, if he did something, on your knees. I would, yes, going to God and giving it to God. So that's where I started growing in faith and into who He's called me to be and who I am to right now. Yeah. Where I learned what real love is. You know, it was something that and people have told me it's like you're baking a cake from scratch. Yeah. And that's what it was. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And thank God, God had answered my prayer, and I believe all the scriptures where it says that He will hear the righteous, and every prayer that we pray in faith, that a woman wins the husband by her character, and all those scriptures, because I've been living that. And as God has changed me, it's where my husband, my marriage, everything, and God puts people in my path to share with me words in a laundromat, all these places. Yeah. Is like, it's just amazing. And it was something where I believe as I started struggling, but I would also see God moving, like even to a point where one time this lady came to the park where I would go take my lunch break. And she said, God sent me here. And that lady was the lady that taught me how to anoint my house and pray over my house. And that was God. All these things. So I started seeing that, like, God, you're doing this. Like, He was putting everything after. And I feel like it was me messing up, but it was Him also saying, now I'm going to help you. Yeah. And what is that? Scripture says in Genesis 50:20, I believe it's 50:22, what you meant for evil, or what the enemy meant for. God will make for good. Yeah. Yes. Wow. So you've gone from fighting, from surviving, to now thriving. So what are you doing now that you never thought would be possible back then? Being the godly woman that I am, and even to now, even being a mom to my stepson and my nephew, my sister's son that is autistic, 20 years old, and being a godly role model, and not just to them, and even just the women I go minister to in prison, the people around here at home, my husband's family, my own family, they call me, pray for us or pray for me, or when we have like video calls, they ask me to pray, things that when I would have never imagined, when would I think that would be possible? Like, yeah. And it's just amazing how God starts using us, and it's just He leaves you with your mouth open, like, oh, yeah, all the time. Yes, all the time. And so, what would you say, like for instance, the women that you see in prison when you go to the prison and do prison ministry? What would you say to the woman who, like you would with them?
who's listening right now. So, because we have all kinds of women who listen to this story and listen to, what we have to say. But for the woman that's listening right now and feels like she's hopeless or stuck in shame or going through some things, what would be something you could say to her today?
I would really say, don't give up. Even because when you can't forgive yourself, I lived that. And it makes me want to cry because it reminds me of even just seeing the women in prison where I see that. And I tell you, don't give up, forgive yourself, because at times that's the biggest thing that we struggle with, because I did. I struggled, because back in 2014, when I knew it was something good. I knew it was God, but I didn't know it was Jesus. I couldn't forgive myself because I had lost that. And that's why I believe that now is like, I'm never losing this. What God has made me who I am, because I had felt this before, but I didn't know what it was. Right. I felt it for a short time. And that's why I could not forgive myself. And then the enemy comes and tells you, oh, he's not going to forgive you. Oh, there you go. You want to change after all this time. Or he starts planting things in your
those
mind.
Lies,
and that,
those lies.
yes, yeah.
Those lies.
And, or people will start, like back then, even my own family. Oh, look at Roxanne. Now she's got that Bible under her armpit. And I let all those things pull me back to the old person. And that's why this time, it's where I'm bold. I'm going to be straight with everybody. If I'm going to say the truth, I'm going to tell you what it is. Not to hurt your feelings, but if it's biblical, if it's something I've learned that I know it's real, it's true, I'm going to speak about it. Because even when I share my testimony, that's why I share this. So whoever's listening, you can know that you're not alone. You're not the only one going through things to be ashamed of smoking crack, sleeping around, whatever it is, because at times we feel that, oh, what are they going to think? Or I can't let nobody know, or I don't want nobody to know that about me. You can't think that way, because that's you're giving the devil hold for him to keep you in that mindset.
Yes.
And that's why I believe that it's something that Proverbs 28:1, the righteous are bold as a lion. When you now, this is where I know that I'm righteous. I'm doing that. And if I've lived those things, it's because I want others to know about that. And if I speak about it, it's not to glorify or give credit to the enemy. It's because that's what God has used. And the Lord has told me that I'd allowed you to go through those things to make you the woman of God you are, that you're going to be, to use you, because he can use me with anybody. From a prostitute to a drug addict to a person that's a suicidal, anybody. I was a shoplifter, robbing people, hurting people. So there's your mindset. At times you find yourself stuck because of what people tell you who you are, or the shame, the devil. It could be anything, anybody. But I just encourage you, woman, to forgive yourself, to open up and find help. Reach out to somebody, because you're not the only one going through things. Even now, I mean, I go through things, but at least I'm not going through what I used to go through.
Absolutely, because we're still living in this world, so we're still going to go through things.
Yeah.
So Roxanne, the theme of this series is She's Bold. And what does being bold in faith and purpose mean to you today?
What it means to me today is
being bold in your faith. What does that mean to you today?
I believe it's what I'm doing. Speaking up in having no shame of who I was, because my testimony is for somebody. And me being bold is going to help so many women, so many lives, to know that they're not alone, and that my my life is a testimony and hope for somebody that feels that he or she can't change, because that I used to think like that.
Right.
That I wasn't going to change, or I wasn't going to be able to break from that cycle. So being bold and my faith in the Lord is what's helping me. Knowing also that I've been forgiven, that
Absolutely.
my past sin is gone.
Amen.
I talk about it, but it's not to be glorified. It's not to glorify my past life.
No, it's to
It's
glorify
being
God. Yeah.
yes,
It's to
and it's to
glorify
be
him.
used. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I always say this is not my story. This is his story
His story.
for me to
Yes.
share, right? Because
Yes.
we go through the things that we've gone through in life for a reason and for a purpose. Like there's always a reason and a purpose. And some people will say, well, why do I have to keep suffering? Why do I have to keep suffering? And I think of Job, right? That he suffered. He, the enemy was out to destroy him, right? But the one thing that God said was, you can't kill my faithful servant. You can't kill him, but you can do whatever it is that you want to him. And you'll see that he is, he is faithful to me.
Faithful to me.
And the enemy was like, and so he does all of these things. And I think for us too, because what I realize is that we're all sinners. We're all going to fall short of God's glory. We're all going to make mistakes, right? And there's things that we're going to do that are going to be harsh, and it comes with consequences. And it reminds me of something that the pastor said today. And he says that condemnation will have us feel ashamed, will have us feel stuck in that mindset of, I'm not worthy. Whereas conviction, right? That's of God. Conviction is of God. Because why? Because God is allowing us to feel what was wrong in order for us to recognize it, and work through it. And God's like, I'm right here. I'm not here to judge you. I'm not here. I'm here to love you. And I'm here to walk alongside you. I'm not here to, to tell you that, point the finger at you and say you're doing wrong. No, because I'm allowing for this door to be opened in order for you to walk through and come meet me. I'm right here, right? Whereas the condemnation is, like it says, it's there to accuse us. It's there to judge us. It's there to lock the door and lock us up. Like you said,
it traps you.
It traps you, like in the prison cell. You can't go anywhere. You're stuck right there, right? And so there's like no way out. But with conviction, that's out of love. It's like saying, you know what? I made this mistake. I did wrong, but Lord, here I am. Help me. Help me see me through this situation. I don't want to be that person. So help me through it. And then what happens? We learn the lessons from it. And then from those lessons that we learn causes growth. And when we grow, we get to share that growth with other people who perhaps are going through something similar, right?
Yeah.
So it's your story is just amazing. So the next thing is, I'm just going to throw this out there, but now you're going to have to write a book, because your book is going to be inspiring. Your book is going to be something that, quite frankly, I see a movie could be written about your life, about the things
the first,
well, if I'm not the first person, then that just goes to show you that God is depositing that seed, because I remember people telling me, oh, you should write a book. You should write a book. And I was telling somebody that it was my high school English teacher that told me, Mariana, one day you're going to write a book. And I was like, oh, like I love to write all the time. And then I was like, but God allowed me to go through something, right, to where years later, here I did, I wrote a book, and now I'm writing my second one, that's going to be coming out in April of next year. And so I'm just going to encourage you, Roxanne, for you to really think about that. And if you need help with that, just let me know and I'll help you.
I will, because that's something that, like I said, you're not the first, not the second, and I don't even think it's the third. It's been a lot of people have told me that, and that's something that I believe it's the Lord tugging me. I need to do that. And I want to go back a little bit and say something really quick. Also, being honest with yourself, with the woman, whoever you're struggling with, is something that it's very important to be honest. Even if you start and if you fail, it's okay. You're gonna make mistakes, and it's just being honest with others, or finding somebody that to keep you accountable. But I believe it's mostly with ourselves, because even like when after I got out, they had me on medications and all these things that I would put myself in, like when I was locked up, asking for all these pills and all these things. And before, when I would get out, I would over medicate myself, or even take medication that I didn't even eat. But I started learning, if I continue in that mindset, if I am not honest with myself, do I really need this? So it starts with little things like that. And I believe it in the word of God, they call it the little foxes, things that we compromise with. And if you're not honest about those little things, you what you struggle with, what really you don't need, like things like that. It's very important to be honest with ourselves, to be able to change and let go of the old patterns, the old habits. And yeah.
Yeah. Well, Roxanne, I just want to say
Yes.
thank you so much. Thank you so much for
Yes.
taking the time to
Yes.
come on the show with me and to share your story. Like I said, I really truly believe that your story would be a great book to have to share. And I don't know, God just put this in my heart, but I think I just feel like when you do write this book, it is a book that you're going to be able to share, and it will be there for the women that are in prison. Like, you're going to go and deliver these books for those women so that
Oh,
they
wow.
can see your story. I don't know why, but that just came
Yeah.
into me. So I just really feel like this book is going to, when you do write, look, I'm already calling it. It's this book that's going to come
Yes, it
out,
is. Yes.
So I already
Yes.
see this book
I
being written,
receive it. Yes.
and it's going to go
Yes.
into the prisons, not just here in Texas, but it's going to go into the prisons, because you're going to share this story, and you're going to bring
Yes.
women to God, especially those you can't reach because they're in isolation, or they're on lockdown, or whatever, or maybe they're just separated from others. But this is a book that they're going to be able to read while they're alone, and they're going to receive the Lord through your words, through those pages. You're going to bring them a comfort to them, and you're going to bring them life again. You're going to bring them these things. So I really do. I feel it. I believe it. I think that this is going to be something tremendous, huge, and I can just, I'm receiving it for you, and I believe in it. So I want to say
You're
thank
making me
you.
cry.
That's okay, because I'll cry too. But I just want you to know that, because I do believe, God redeems us all, right? He
Mm-hmm.
redeems each and every one of us. And we need to receive that and acknowledge it and not be afraid. So whatever it
Yeah.
is right now that's stopping you or that's holding you back, God's going to provide you open spaces in order to carve out some time in your life. And he's going to just sit you down, and he's going to say, I need you to write. It doesn't need to be perfect. I just need you to start writing, and I will do the rest. You sit
Yeah.
there, just like he did with those who wrote the Bible, right? It was inspired by God. And this is the story that's going to be inspired by God, that he's going to give you the words that you need in order to share your story on a different level. So I'm just saying, you are an awesome, wonderful woman of God, and it has been my pleasure to have you here on the
Thank
Mommy
you.
on a Mission podcast. And so with that being said, because we're running out of time now.
Yes.
But I just want to say thank you again. Thank you, thank you, thank
Yes.
you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you for having me.
And for those of you that are listening, if you are inspired by the story, I don't know, depending on how much time was that we recorded, it may be a 2-part series, it may be a 2-parter,
Okay.
but we'll see. But I just want to encourage you, amiga, that if you're listening and you feel like someone can benefit from this episode, that it inspired you, and you know of someone who could really, really hear this story, I encourage you to share this episode with them. Subscribe to the Mommy on a Mission podcast. Like us on social media platforms. We're on Instagram and Facebook, but please share this story. And Roxanne, if somebody wanted to reach out to you and get a hold of you, how could they do that?
They can reach out on Facebook, search me up like Roxanne Lara, and then on parentheses, I have Gallardo, which is my
and I'll
maiden
put that
name.
in the show notes. It'll be in the show notes so they can click the link and it'll take them directly to your page.
Yes.
And you also have a business?
Yes, I do. God has blessed me with Blessed Hands Creations, and it's t-shirts, tumblers, keychains. I started putting in candles, and it's a blessing, and it's not my business, it's his.
That's right.
Because I do it. Yes, because I do it, and I lowered my prices a lot. I help a lot of the youth ministries for their youth camp or t-shirts or for their events. But yes, and that's also, I have a Facebook page, and it's called Blessed Hands Creation by Roxanne Lara.
Okay, and I'll go ahead and put that in the show notes too.
Yes.
So y'all, I've seen some of her work. She was a vendor at one of the conferences I went to, and she's got some amazing things. So y'all, look out for Roxanne's book when it comes out, because I believe it is. And I just want to say once again, thank you. And until next week, we'll see you on the Mommy on a Mission podcast. Thank you for tuning in to the Mommy on a Mission podcast. If you found today's episode inspiring, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your amigas. And before you go, if you're looking to dive deeper into healing, self-discovery, and walking in confidence, be sure to grab a copy of my book, Mommy on a Mission, A Guide Towards Healing, Self-Discovery, and Walking in Confidence, available now on Amazon. Stay connected with me on social media. Follow us on Instagram at Mommy on a Mission Podcast and on Facebook at Mommy on a Mission. If you're considering working with a coach but aren't sure if you're ready, send me a DM and I will send you a free gift to help you get started on your journey. Until next Saturday, keep shining and remember, the power is within you. Adios, amigas.